So as I said, Alex, our audience is 99.9% drivers, right? So there's quite a bit of anxiety going on in our community now. As you hit on your last answer about autonomous vehicles, right? And I watched your interview with Kyle Vogt, the CEO of Cruise, twice.
Mhm.
Now, he's not a huge fan of, for given certain reasons, he's not a huge fan of our show. I don't think he's going to come on. But you interviewed him. So what was your take when you interviewed this guy?
The number one thing that I was struck by was the ambition. I mean,
Yep.
to me, he came on and um, I said, well, it seems to me, this is my thesis. I like to come into an interview with a main question that I try to answer. And I had just spent a few weeks in San Francisco and I had taken some cruise rides and some Waymo rides, I think totaling more than a dozen, completely driverless, no safety driver, just me or me and my wife, or me or us and friends, and just try to see what this was all about. I was in San Francisco for 2 weeks. I wanted to get as many of these rides as possible. And so I came into this saying that, like, it seems like you figured out San Francisco. And San Francisco, by the way, not an easy city to
No.
drive in. I lived there for 6.5 years and had a car for a couple of them. And let me tell you, some of those hills and twists and turns were extremely challenging. And, he came in guns blazing, saying that this is technology that is generalizable, meaning we figure out San Francisco. You're right. Like, it actually becomes a lot easier for us to figure out other cities. We don't have to start from scratch in every single city. And then he said the thing. So you asked, like, what struck me, and this is the ambition part, right? Then he said the thing that I left walking away with being like, oh my goodness. And he said that they're something like 10xing the amount of rides that they're
Yeah.
giving this year, and they're going to 10x next year, and every year after that, 10x. And I mean, this guy he's a CEO of a big company, somewhat accountable. And to talk about with that level of ambition and to predict that level of exponential growth to come short of that would be, embarrassing for him and potentially risk his ability to stay in the job.
Yep.
And that's really what struck me. Obviously, Cruise has hit some serious speed bumps, pardon the pun, but like it has not been a good few weeks for Cruise lately. But to me, the fact that these self-driving, the people who are behind, someone like Kyle sitting at, in the CEO seat of a company with this technology and seeing how it's been able to advance and making those type of predictions, to me, again, led to this thesis that I had, which is that this stuff is going to actually, um, it's going to spread faster than a lot of people anticipate.
Yeah. I mean, they went into obviously Austin, they spread out to Phoenix, albeit in a geofenced area, probably, right?
Right.
I mean,
LA as well.
which is larger and larger over the years. Look, I was in a Tesla with the latest software of FSD, right?
Hmm.
We took it like a half-hour ride. It blew me away, and this thing was like, oh wow, this is like it's almost better than me, right? And look, the technology is coming, but how fast, according to Kyle or Mr.
Hmm.
Vogt, he goes 10x, 10x, 10x. Well, that's crazy because there's not enough money on the planet. Because, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the economics of this. First of all, why do you think they're doing this? Why do you think they're spending? It's not for rideshare because rideshare is not a profitable business because an Uber driver is working for less than what a cruise is going to charge for that trip, unless cruise at some point due to scale they're going to
Hmm.
charge 25 cents a mile or some ridiculous number, which with an $80,000 car that they are now doesn't make sense. What is the economics behind this? Why are they like pushing so hard to do this?
Right. Well, I think you hit it on the head, which is that the only way this works for them is scale. And they eventually believe that they'll have economies of scale as they build more of these vehicles and get them onto the roads. And that technology becomes truly generalizable. So you can effectively drop a car anywhere in the world and it can sort of figure out how to get you from point A to point B with decent GPS. And for Kyle, why he's saying it's going to 10x, 10x, 10x is because that's sort of what it needs to work. If he's going to say anything less than that, you're right, it's potentially underwater. I mean,
Yeah.
so you need it to be everywhere, or else the vision doesn't work because you have to find some way to make back those costs. Now, is that going to be possible? I don't know. It seems difficult, but the economic reward, if you are able to do it right, seems sizable. And so that's why I think you see these companies doing it.
I have like a weird idea about all this, right? As far as autonomous vehicles are concerned, I don't think they're doing it for rideshare, honestly. I think, as we all know, we're humans, and the clock every day has 24 hours in it. Okay.
Hmm.
And through the technological changes, advancements, right? We learn how to multitask. Now we can do a lot things a lot faster. With AI now, we're going to do things a lot faster. And to me, it's like, but create an extra, because as we know, if you're commuting to work and back, in some cases, it's like 30 to 45 minutes each way. So I'm thinking, well, we can create like another hour and a half or an hour of productivity for this human and that I think is the idea behind it, because I truly cannot see the economics as far as doing rideshare. Because if these companies like Uber are having such a difficult time turning a profit without owning the asset, it's a zero asset business model when it comes to rideshare. And these things are expensive. How many? Well, there's 5 million drivers in the US, which is 5 million cars. There's no way Cruise or Waymo is going to put out 5 million cars. It's going to cost billions, hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah. So you're saying that there could be a personal ownership part of it as well?
Yeah.
That sounds right to me. I was just on the line with the co-CEO of Waymo, Takidra Mamokana, who's I'm going to drop an episode with her on the Big Technology podcast feed tomorrow on Wednesday, November 1st.
Oh, okay.
And I like, because the Waymo app is pretty good. You call it
Yeah.
and you know exactly where the car is and the car finds you and you go and you take it. And then she came on the show where she's announcing this partnership with Uber.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why would you partner with Uber? Why won't you just be your own rideshare business? And she's like, we're just trying everything. We're going to find a way to make this work no matter what, whether it's a partnership with the ride hailing app, whether it is personal ownership. And I was like, personal ownership? Yeah, that's one of them. And then she also mentioned that they haven't let go of the idea of putting this stuff in trucks and seemed actually more interested in getting that side of the operation moving than I had anticipated coming in. So I think that everybody who does this sees that there is a real financial reward at the end of the tunnel if you are able to get the technology to the place where it's good enough. Whether that's rideshare, whether that's personal ownership. I mean, you're right. If you own one of these cars and you're driving to work every day and you get in and it just drives you and you can be on your laptop. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of people that would do that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, then you get into industrial uses and trucking uses, and again, the companies that get this right really do stand to benefit tremendously because you as you get deeper into it, you start to, the amount of use cases you start being like, okay, it's narrow, actually it grows, and then
Yeah.
that's where you see their eyeballs turn to money signs.
Yeah, and as I said, our community, the anxiety has started because I get quite a bit of email saying that, every time Cruise announces, which is, I think their expansion plans are a lot more aggressive than Waymo's at the
Yes,
moment, with
yeah.
Kyle's 10x, obviously.
Takitra
You
wouldn't go
got
there,
to
by
do
the
what you
way.
got to do.
Yeah, I asked
Yeah,
Takidra, I was like, Kyle said that, are you going to match that? And she's like, I'm not talking that way. So you're right.
she's smart. By the way, for our audience, we're going to leave all the all Alex's links, his YouTube channel, his all the links will be in the show notes. Please go check it out. He's awesome. I mean, I'm a huge fan of his. I listen to pretty much everything he says. But let's just jump back into our community, right?
Hmm.
How long? I mean, look, Kyle is Kyle. Well, Mr. Vogt, let's call him. And maybe
Okay.
he'll show up. he, I mean, Uber, as you said correctly, right? And Waymo, who were arch enemies, now they're bedfellows. How does that, how did that come about? I like, from suing each other for hundreds of millions, and now they're like, you can call a Waymo in Arizona within the app. I'm like,
Yeah,
so
it's a
they're
great
coming to
question.
replace every rideshare driver. Is that what you think is going to happen? Not every, if not every, at least 10-20%.
So first of all, I was astonished that they inked this partnership with Uber, and like I have to admit that I left the conversation with Takidra not fully understanding still how that partnership came together because I mean for Waymo, you're trying to build your own service and the wait times are long. I mean in San Francisco the wait times can be some around 35 minutes right now if you want to hail. So you're going to now make the wait times longer on your own app. And then for Uber, it's just like, wow, like you could potentially be replaced by this Waymo company, and now you're partnering. So it really doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. I mean, if I'm the CEO of either of those companies, I'm not doing that. But anyway, maybe that's why I'm not running them. It's a great question in terms of whether this is going to replace ride sharing. So actually, there's another moment in this interview with Takidra that you might find interesting. So I actually had a quote from Harry that I included in my story about. I had this August 4th story in Big Technology about Cruise expanding to LA, and that we finally have arrived on self-driving's breakout moment. And then Harry mentioned that, basically that there's gonna, what's great about the Uber model is that it's variable cost for them. So like when it's a very busy time, you can have lots of drivers come online, and when it's less busy, you won't have a lot of drivers come online. And something like a self-driving fleet of self-driving cars could be effectively a fixed cost that will take the least desirable rides and then maybe leave the best for the cherry pickers, right? So could potentially, lift the earnings or lift the experience for the human drivers and let the robots take the stuff that nobody wants to some extent. I ran that by Takidra. I don't think she really bought that. I mean, I think that she was very clear that like the aim is to have a broad level of service. So from my perspective, if you're thinking about a driver community, I mean, over time, I think that these companies, their aim is to replace every driver. I mean, every human driver, not just ride sharing drivers, but every driver, period. Like that is what they're going for. And I don't really see them aiming for like some area of symbiosis with Uber drivers. That being said, it is very, very difficult to scale these things. And we only have a few hundred cars on the road from each company right now. You talk about 5 million drivers, right? So we have like 400 now. And even if they want to scale as fast as they possibly can, that's going to be difficult. And, you even look at Cruise with the, very ambitious perspective. They're off the road in the U.S. right now, pretty much, after getting their license suspended by the California DMV. So there's going to be many different obstacles along the road that they're going to have to steer around. And we're just starting to see them now that these things are starting to scale. So I guess my perspective is if I'm a driver for an Uber or a Lyft, I'm not panicking, right? I know that it's going to be quite some time before these things, really challenge me at all. In fact, there were moments when I was like very determined to take only a Waymo or a Cruise my entire time in San Francisco, and the ETAs were just ridiculous. And I was just like, well, all right, I'm going to Uber now because I know this is going to come in 2 minutes. And of course it did. It worked as intended. So they're definitely not anywhere close to being in the competitive range, but long term, I think there might be an issue.
All right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you'll be notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.